Hopefully that's pretty good for my screen. Okay, we're gonna start seated. So come to some sort of comfortable seat, probably cross-legged, that's where we usually end up. And then we'll just bring our hands to our knees, close down the eyes, just start to focus on your breathing. Try to make your exhales a little bit longer than your inhales. And then you can start to flutter the eyes open. Just start leaning forward with the torso, kind of like a hinge at the hips. And then you can let your head come down, tuck the chin, stretch out through the back of the neck. Then you can start to reach your hands forward, fold as much as feels comfortable in your body. Start to walk your hands back towards you, bring them back up to your knees. We'll start making big circles into the hips. So we'll go 3 or 4 times in one direction and then switch 3 or 4 in the other. Nice and slow. Feeling some of the side bending as you're moving. Switch directions if you haven't already. And then come back up into center. Switch the way that your legs are crossed, so the way that's a little less natural. And then we'll tent the fingers behind us. Push the chest out and forward. You can bring the chin up if that feels okay in your neck. Come back up into a neutral spine. Bring the feet together now for butterfly. So in butterfly, you're driving your knees down towards the floor and then making a nice straight spine, flat back. Just breathe here. And we can bring one hand to the knee. So let's bring the right hand to the right knee. Inhale the left arm up and start to side bend. So this might be too much on the hips. If it is, you can do something different with your legs. Come back to cross-legged because the hand on the knee helps to open up the right hip a little bit more as we side bend. But just take note of how it feels. Come up through center, left hand to left knee, go the other way. And then back up into center. Take the legs out long, give them a shake. And then inhale the arms up. Reach all the way forward. Reach for your toes or your ankles or your shins. Wake up the hamstrings a little bit. And then we'll start to pick up the ankles. Just walk the legs out wide. And then lean forward any amount, getting into the adductors. And if you want to create more sensation in the hips, you can flex the feet so the toes are pointing towards the ceiling, and then just wiggle the toes back and forth. When you're ready, come back up to neutral spine. Bend both knees, either whichever direction, it doesn't matter, like whichever leg ends up forward is fine. We're gonna go through a few 90-90s. So let the back leg lead each time you shift back and forth. Nice and slow. Shuffling forward on your mat. Let's go one more time. And then come back into neutral. Shuffle back into a central position on your mat again. We'll cross so that the left leg's coming under, right leg's going over. So our shoelace legs. And then we'll bring left hand to right knee. Start to twist towards the right. Tent the right fingertips behind you to help you create that flat back. Use your core to twist. If this doesn't feel good, having your legs stacked like this, you could always have the left leg extended and the right foot crossed over the left knee. Both versions are totally great. Start to make your way back into center. We'll leave the left leg under where it is, and then we'll start to kick the right foot forward and then send it all the way back behind you, roll into pigeon. So stretching out through the hip and the left glute. You can come down to your elbows or stay up on your hands. You can move in your pigeon or you can stay still, whatever feels best. You can add in a quad stretch. If you want to reach back and grab onto your right ankle and pull that foot in towards you. And then wherever you are in your pigeon, start to come back up, roll onto the left glute, kick the right foot forward again, and then bring the left foot up beside the right, so we're in boat pose, waking up the core. Hold here, or if that's too much, you can bring your heels down and still just having your torso back, so you're in this V-type position. One more breath. And then bring the body back up. Tuck the right leg under, left leg goes on top. Back in our shoelace legs. Tent the left fingertips behind you, grab onto the left knee with the right hand, and we're going to twist towards the left. Start to come back into neutral. Kick the left foot forward and then send it back behind you. Come into pigeon on the other side. Same thing here, wiggling around or not. You can bring your head down for sleeping pigeon. You can be up on your hands. Add in your quad stretch if that feels like a good next step. And then wherever you are, you can start to release, roll onto the right glute. Kick the left foot up in front and then take the right foot beside it, back in our boat pose. And you can hold here, or you can bring your hands into heart center and rotate from side to side a few times. You can turn this into a bicycle kick, depending on how intense you want to be for tonight. And when you're ready, start to roll back up, cross the ankles, roll up over the ankles, coming into our tabletop. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. We'll move through a few cat-cows. So on your inhale, lift the chin up with the tailbone. Exhale, scoop everything in and under, round out the back. 2 more times like that. And we're going to work on a little bit of shoulder mobility. So keeping the elbows facing forward, the arms are straight. We're just going to dip in and out of the shoulders. So you'll feel like you're doing straight arm push-ups or a chicken dance, something like that. But it helps to warm up the shoulders and the wrists. Just do a couple more. And then sit back onto the heels when you're ready. Roll the wrists out a few times. On your next inhale, push the hands forward, the fingertips are down. Round out the back, so you're pushing the wrists forward as hard as you can. And then flip the hands, bring the backs of the hands down to the mat, lean back, stretch out the forearms. Elbows are pointing forward. Release, roll up the wrists a few more times, maybe in the opposite direction. And then come back up into tabletop. Just start pushing the ribs up from side to side. Look back behind you in the opposite direction. We're going to go through just a couple hip cars. Just want to make sure the hips are getting some love. So flex the right foot, take it up into the air behind you. Kick the knee out to the side, bring it forward and in. Go 2 times in one direction and then switch 2 times in the other. And then switch legs. Try to keep your hips square to the mat while you do this. And then when you're back in your tabletop, tuck the toes, push back with the hands, stretch out the feet just for a few seconds. And shift forward. We're going to lift the hips coming into our first downward facing dog, pedal out the feet. Roll around the ankles, take a few big deep breaths. And then we'll start to walk the feet forward to the top of the mat. Fold, let the head be heavy, neck is long. On your next inhale, round out the back, roll the spine all the way up to stand. Take a big exhale when you get to the top. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead, look up. Exhale, bring the hands into heart center and sit back into a chair. Pressing the hands together. And then start to hinge at the hips, fold all the way forward. Bring the hands to the shins, come up halfway. And then bring the hands down, take the right foot back behind you, holding this lunge position. Adding in a bit of a bounce if you want to. And then we'll right away step the left foot back beside the right, hold your plank. And then bring the knees down, lower all the way to the front of the body. Bring the hands just slightly out in front. And on your next breath in, roll the shoulders up, back, and down, come into cobra. Exhale, release. Inhale, let's come up one more time. And exhale, release back down. Bring the hands back under the shoulders. We'll push up through our tabletop, come back into your downward dog. And then start to take the right foot into the air behind you. You can bend the knees, stack the hips if that feels good. And then step the right foot forward so we're in this lunge on the other side. And you can add in the bounce. I really like the bouncing. I feel like it helps get into the connective tissue a little bit more. So whenever you're ready, whenever you're done bouncing, step the left foot forward, beside the right, and fold. Lift up all the way to stand on your next inhale. Roll the shoulders back a few times when you get to the top. Inhale, come all the way up with the hands. Exhale, bring the hands into heart center, sit back into your chair. Notice if one knee is farther out than the other, what your pelvis is doing, maybe you want to adjust that. Different bodies require different things, but I like to have my tail tucked a little bit, my pelvis tucked under a little. And then start to hinge and fold. Come up halfway on the inhale. And fold again, bring your hands down, take the left foot back in this lunge, adding the bounce. And then step the right foot beside the left, hold your plank. And you can move through a vinyasa of your choice. So you can bring your knees down and go through cobra, or you can come through a chaturanga push-up into upward facing dog. We'll all meet in downward dog, whichever version you choose. From our down dog, start to take your left foot up into the air. Bend the knee, open the hip. And then step the left foot between the hands. In our lunge, bounce here on the other side. Whenever you feel ready, step the right foot up beside the left, fold. Heavy head. And then slowly come up to stand on your next breath. When you get to standing, we're going to do a few shoulder cars. So inhaling, bringing the right arm all the way up, stretching out through the armpit, making big, slow circles. We'll go 2 times in one direction and then switch. Reverse your direction. Try to keep the hips forward. Give your arms a shake once you've done your rotations on either side. And then bring the arms up overhead on your next inhale. Grab your left wrist with your right hand. Pull your hands over to the right. Come back into center. Bring your hands down so you're still holding your left wrist. Give yourself a little bit of a bend in your knee. Knees, both knees. And we're just going to twist a little bit from side to side. Start to come back into center. Inhale the arms up overhead again. Grab the other wrist, so grab the right wrist with the left hand, pull to the left. Come back into center, bring the hands down, bend the knees side to side with the arms. Come back to neutral. There is one hamstring stretch that I would like to do that if you have a yoga strap, that's great. I know I have some around here somewhere that I can't find. But if you have a towel, that also works completely fine. So if you have the flexibility to grab your foot and just extend your leg all the way out, you can do that. But having a strap, just like having yoga blocks and other props, help to make things easier when our body isn't totally ready to head there yet. So you can make your towel a little skinnier. We're going to pick up the right foot, place it into the towel. So bring your weight into your left foot, and then just start to straighten the right foot out in front of you, and then roll the shoulders back down the body. So you're pulling on the towel, you're kicking out into the towel. You're working on your balance, but having something to hold on to actually really helps. And then focus on a single point on the wall. If you want to grab onto the towel with only one hand, you can counterbalance, take the left hand out to the side and the right foot to the other side. So this is also a big stretch for the hip. If you want to make it a twist, you can also do that. So grab onto the towel with the left hand instead. Turning this into our twist that we usually do when we're holding onto the knee. So whenever you feel ready to be done messing around with the towel, you can just toss it to the side. We'll pick it up when we start the other side. But from here, we're going to bring the right foot, cross it just over top of the left knee, and then start to sit the hips back. So you can bring your hands to our center, you can bring your hands to your right leg, or if you want a really, really deep stretch, you can bring your fingertips down to the mat and sit your bum down. But this is essentially a standing figure four called Galavasana. Some people turn this into an arm balance eventually. I haven't gotten there yet, but you would take your right leg across your arms, and then your left leg would be floating out behind you. When you're ready, start to hinge back up. Grab onto the right knee, pull it in towards you. And then we'll bring the right foot down beside the left. Just give your legs a bit of a shake. I want to do one more balance pose on the left side, but don't want to do too many in a row because it gets to be really fatiguing. So if you want to just head straight into dancer's pose on the side, you can. When we're ready, bring your weight back into your left foot. You're going to bring your right hand just beside you like this. Your right foot is going to kick back behind you, and then you're going to grab onto the inside of the right foot. So this can be all it is. When you feel ready, you can start to kick your foot into your hand, and that will tilt you forward. Reach the left hand out in front. And this is your dancer's pose. So this is a big back bend, big shoulder opener for the right shoulder. If it doesn't feel good, come right out of it. If you fall out of it, but it does feel good, just come right back in. Take one more breath. And then come back up. Place the right foot down, shake out the legs. We're going to pick our towel back up. We're going to move on to the other side. So take your weight, shift it into the right foot. Place your left foot in your towel. Kick forward, roll the shoulders back. And balance and breathe. If you want to take the towel just into the left hand, kick the left foot out to the side, right arm can counterbalance. I'm too close to the wall. Or we can turn this into our twist. Grab onto the towel with the right hand, left hand goes back behind you, twisting to the left. Start to come back into center. Toss your towel to the side, flex the left foot, cross it over the right thigh, just above the knee. And then sit back into your chair. Hands can come into heart center, onto the legs, down to the mat. In our standing figure 4. When you feel ready, you can start to stand back up, pull the left knee into the chest, then place the left foot down, shake out the legs before we head into dancer's pose. Bring your weight back into your right foot, open up the left hand to the side, and then bring your left foot into your hand. Find your point on the wall that you want to focus on, and then start kicking the foot into the hand, which will tilt your body forward. Keeping a little micro bend in the standing leg. So you don't want it to be locked out. That'll create a little bit too much pressure in the knee. Feel how much work your ankle's doing. Take one more breath. And then start to hinge back up. Shake out the legs. Nice. I know not everybody likes balance work, but it's so, so good for you. When you're ready, come back up to the top of your mat. Bring your feet hip distance apart. Just start to close down the eyes. Notice where your weight is in your feet. Start to shift your weight from your toes to your heels. Just go back and forth a few times like that. Start to open up the eyes, and on your next breath in, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway. And then bring the hands down on the exhale. Take the right foot back behind you, and right away, bring it down so your heel is on the floor as well. So we're coming into warrior 2. So cartwheel your arms up, landing in your warrior 2 pose. Heel of the front foot in line with arch of the back. Looking over the left fingertips. So we're going to start matching movement to breath. So on your inhale, straighten the front leg, bring the arms up overhead, look towards your fingers. Exhale, sink back into your warrior 2. Inhale, come up. Exhale, sink down. 3 more times like this on this side. Nice and slow. Last one. And then this time when you inhale, straighten the front leg, point the left toes the same direction as the right toes. You can hop your feet a little bit closer together, heel toe them in closer. We're going to interlace our hands behind our back, pull down, open up the chest. And if you want to stay here, that's great. If you want to hinge at the hips, come into a wide-legged forward fold. Let your hands come all the way down with gravity. When you're ready, bring your hands to your hips, start to hinge all the way back up. Point the left toes forward, sink back into your warrior 2. Cartwheel the hands down to frame the left foot. Take the left foot back beside the right. Move through a vinyasa of your choice. Landing in our downward dog. Take 2 big breaths. And then bring the knees down, sit the hips back into child's pose. Bring the forehead down to your mat, just rock the head from side to side a few times. Bring the hands all the way over to the right. We're gonna pull through the left finger pad so that you stretch out through the left lat, and then bring your forehead back down. Start to walk the hands through center all the way over to the left. Stretch out through the other side. Bring the hands back into center. Shift forward, come back up into downward dog. And then we'll walk to the top of the mat, fold forward. Lift up all the way to stand. On your next breath in, exhale when you get to the top. Inhale, reach up, come up onto your tiptoes, and exhale, fold again. Lift up halfway, and then bring the hands down, take the left foot back behind you, and right away into your warrior two legs. And then we'll cartwheel the arms up. Warrior two, looking over the right fingertips. On your inhale, straighten the front leg, look up towards your hands, bring them overhead. Exhale, sink back into your warrior two. 4 more times on this side. Go nice and slow. Calm breath. When you land back in your warrior two, straighten the front leg, point the right toes the same direction as the left. And then we're going to take the toes so that they're pointing at a 45-degree off the mat. From here, bring your hands down to the inside of the right foot, and then we're going to come up onto the right toes. Your left toes are going to come up, and you're going to be resting on the left heel. Just a really wide lateral squat. And then we can come up through center over to the other side. Your fingertips are helping you balance. If you feel like you don't need that extra help, you can bring your hands into heart center, or you can bind. So bringing, my shoulder just cracked. Bringing your arms to touch behind that left leg. So we're just gonna go back and forth like this, spending however much time you need on either side. This is a really big adductor stretch. So this part of the body, the internal part of the leg that's long. So let's go back and forth a couple more times. Nice and slow. Also stretching out the feet. One more each way. And then you can start to come back up into center, lift all the way up, point the right toes forward, sink back into your warrior two, and then cartwheel the hands down, step the right foot beside the left, and move through your vinyasa. Landing back in your downward dog, take a breath. And then shift forward, bring the knees down, sit back into child's pose. From here, we're going to bring the knees close together, bring your elbows to touch your knees. We're going to do some thoracic spine twisting. So let's leave the right forearm down. Inhale the left arm open to the side and back down. 3 more times like this on this side, and then we'll switch. Move right to the other side. On your inhales, come up. Exhales, come down. And then switch. One more. And then reach your fingertips forward. Come back into your tabletop. This time we're going to shuffle the knees back, come down to the elbows. So we're in a modified plank. And we're just going to play with some cat-cow spine from this position. So bring the chin up and then tuck it under, round out the back, and just move through really slowly, back and forth like that. And notice that it only takes 2 or 3 of these for your core to really be on fire. At least for me. Let's do one more. And then release. Slide all the way down to the front of the body. Bring your forehead down or one cheek. Take a breath. From here, let's extend the right arm. Bring your head onto the right arm. We're going to bend the left knee, grab onto that foot or the ankle, and then pull. So we're turning this into a quad stretch, but you're also focusing more so on pushing the left hip down into the mat. Release, start to take the left foot down, extend the left arm in front of you, flop your head onto the other arm, and then grab onto the right foot, pull it in towards you. Pressing the right hip down into the mat. And release. Prop yourself up onto your elbows. We're going to bring the left knee up as high as you can towards the left elbow. And do some external hip rotation, so flex the left foot. Just pick it up off the ground 8 times. Not a lot of movement or motion, but still doing a lot of good. Extend the left leg again, pull the right leg up when you've done 8 on that side. And then same thing over here, flex the right foot, pick it up, put it back down, nice and slow and gentle. Working on our hip rotation. Extend the right leg again. We're going to bring the head back down onto the hands. Bend both knees. Bring the heels to touch. When you're ready, this is going to be some work for the lower back and for the glutes. You just want to pick up the heels, bring them up as high as you can towards the ceiling. And then back down. You can hold at the top for as long as you want, really. We're going to do 8 repetitions here as well. So however hard you want to work, that's up to you. Let's do 4 more. And then relax everything back down. Bring your other cheek to the mat or your forehead. Relax. When you're ready, bend both knees again. So you can do the same thing that we just did, or we can come into bow pose if you want a back bend. So you can do your repetitions of lifting the legs up, or you can reach back with your hands, grab onto your ankles, and then do that same motion where you're kicking up towards the ceiling, but now it's taking you into a big chest opener, big back bend. Whatever you chose, take one more breath, and then start to head back down, bring your forehead down. Extend the arms back out in front of you. We're just gonna do 3 of these. I love these, they're so good for the shoulders. So look down at your mat, pick up the hands as high as you can, forward snow angels, bringing them to your lower back, and then out in front 2 more times. Excellent, and then slide your hands back underneath your shoulders, push up and back, sit into your child's pose. When you're ready, just cross your ankles behind you. Roll back over your ankles until you come to seated. Extend the legs out long. You can shuffle more towards the middle of your mat. I was kind of at the back of mine. And then we're going to come all the way down to our backs. We're going to do one more back bend before we head into a couple more restful poses. So we're going to move into a bridge. So make sure that you can reach your heels. And when you're ready, start to lift the hips all the way up into the air. Roll the shoulders underneath you. Push through the elbows. Knees are coming in together. Back bends are really super energizing. Take one more breath and then start to roll the spine all the way back down. When all of your spine is touching down on the mat again, pull your knees into your chest. Rock a little bit from side to side on the spine. So you can stay here and continue rocking, or you can bring your feet into your hands for happy baby. And keep rocking. And then if you are in happy baby, bring the knees back into your chest. Take your arms wide into a T shape or into a cactus shape. And then bring your knees all the way down and to the right. Coming into a big twist. Stacking the left knee on top of the right. Try to keep your shoulders on your mat. And recenter, refocus, bring yourself back to your breath. Start to make your way back into center. Pull the knees in, rock from side to side. And then take the knees down to the left, big twist the other way. Come back up into center slowly. Hug the knees in. Rock side to side. And then we'll start to extend everything out long. We're coming into Shavasana, our final resting pose. If there's anything else you feel like you need before you go there, now's your time. But if you feel ready, extending the legs out long and the arms down by your sides, take up lots of space. Come back to normal breathing. If you were trying out Ujjayi breath or counting your breath or anything like that, just let it all go. Start to bring your hands up to your belly. Take a deep breath, send all your breath there. Then start to shuffle your feet closer in towards you until you can roll to one side and back up to seated. Bring your hands to your knees or up into heart center. We'll take a big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Namaste. Thank you for practicing. We'll see you soon.